start? Use the mic.
Get closer to the
Now? Not yet. Oh yeah, we got that now. Can you hear me now? Okay, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And it's over here in the corner on my left. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to you all. How many of you, Jeff just got here from out of town? Want to stand up or raise your hand? But just got back into town. Dave, you just got here a couple of weeks ago too. No? You've been here all along. Okay. Well, welcome to you all. Do we have a quorum, Debbie, for our board?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we've got that. Let's introduce the board, because sometimes we Zoom meetings and Mike, 40 years a CPA in Pennsylvania, controller of the crayon company known as Crayola before he retired.
I know all the colors.
He's not colorblind, is what he said, like
Not yet.
some of us. Next, Debbie Cochran. She is from Ontario. And some of you say, London? Across the water? No, there's a London, Ontario. And Debbie is from London, Ontario. Debbie worked many years in a favorite town of mine in Ontario. And all of a sudden, I can't think of it, Debbie.
Toronto, maybe? Toronto and Milton.
Out loud?
I worked for the city of Toronto and the
Toronto.
town of,
There you go.
town of Milton.
The city of Toronto. If you have never been to Toronto, it's a city you need to see, because about 4 or 5 stories are below the ground. And when you go there, you don't see that. And even parking underground.
Their airport sucks
It does too.
Now, Mary, go easy on. And then we have Sheila, not her, Sheila comes to us from originally Massachusetts, I want to say, but she went to school in Maryland, University of Maryland. Delaware, University of Delaware, that great big state. And she, English major. And then you've got Levy. I'd like you to know a little bit about the villas. We have a couple active committees. And one of the committees is the ARC, the Architectural Review Committee. And Gail Taub is the chairperson. Gail, would you please come forward? Please come forward, Gail. They can't see your hand. Tell them who your committee, if you have members on your committee, and what you all do. Now that they're all coming back into town, come up close to the mic where they can hear you.
Wait, I'm trying to find my committee.
Just call their name and they'll stand.
Lynn.
Here I am.
Kay. And sometimes Tom, right? If we need you. So what we do, in case, I know there's a lot of new people here, or people who have never attempted to use the art committee. We are governed by the design review guidelines of the master, except for some things that we cannot do, or we can do and they can't or can do. Mostly they can and we can't. But anything you do outside your home, shutters, anything, you're supposed to send us an application. The application is on the website for the villas, so all you have to do is go on there, print it out, fill it out. You can call me, drop it off at my house. We have a rate of return of about 1 day, if even. So we're pretty good instead of the master who you will wait 3 weeks for. And we solved that problem by breaking away from that a few years ago. So, but we do not do our own violations. So the master will still do violations in the villas. So it's up to them when they drive by, if they think something is out of whack, they're gonna maybe call me. They will not violate us for roofs. They've already had, been talked to about that. But they do have seen some things that are not correct in here and has been brought to my attention. There are some fountains out front, some statues out front. Somebody has a fence in the front by their front door, which is really our side door. So whether those people will get violated or not, I don't know, eventually. But you may want to, if that's any of you people, you may want to think about putting that stuff in your yard. It can be in your yard or on your lanai, but not in the front. So, does anybody have any questions?
I do, Gail. What do you do with that $25 we give you?
You don't give us money.
Oh, we don't?
No.
It used to be in the,
We took that off.
okay, see, there's no cost
Nope,
to go see Gail
nope.
and to get approval for anything you want to add.
We've done about 12 applications this year, which for us is enormous, including the roof that's being done on Anguilla, which Dan was kind enough to make sure he did an ARC application for.
Okay.
And most of those are shutters, some front and screen enclosures. That was about it.
Okay, thank you very much, Gail. Cindy Crawford, would you please come forward and tell us about the landscaping committee and your committee members? Would you introduce them, please?
Well, I'm Cindy Crawford. I'm sure you all know. This is all new to me, so I really don't have much to say right now, but I'm going to work a lot with Gail too. Okay. Because she is the art committee. On my committee, I have Renee. You want to stand up? I have another Renee. I have two. And then I have Jerry. So we have 4 of us now. So if you need to know anything about what you can and cannot put in, come see me. I'll go through Gail or I go through the board. That's it. That's all I know.
All of you that are just getting back into town, you want to build up the property a little bit. One of the things that was mentioned to me, and I'm in violation, is what I call the median strip between the parking going up to the garages. That little median strip is not, about halfway filled with hedge. So it looks kind of cruddy not to have it all the way filled with something. So we went out and bought some flowers and put it in there. And you might want to look around your own property too and talk to Gail. Talk to Cindy, because she might have some ideas of the right kind of plants to go in your median strip.
Can I just?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I have to go through her too.
The master violations have mentioned to me how horrible the mediums in our areas look. And that, yes, we're not supposed to have to plant our own things, but have some pride in your home. And, they were shocked when they drove. Chris, who does violations, was shocked when he drove through.
I went through the neighborhood not long ago, and there were only about 6 of us that we're guilty, but guilty is guilty. Let's do what we can to improve the looks of our community.
Well, I think we're gonna have some do's and don't do's. Because there's things that people are getting away with that should not be getting away with.
Yeah, okay. Little by little, let's get our arms around it. If you didn't sign in today, please sign in before you leave because these numbers are important to us. And the next thing on my agenda is to talk to you about Dean Cavalieri. Thank you very much. That's the way we'd like to leave it right now, because we're not in a position to talk about something that could be a future legal challenge. So let's leave Dean and the conversation about Dean out at the moment. We being the board, has employed an attorney by the name of Lauren Hussey, and she is with the Merlin Group. Now, in the newsletter that was mailed out to you or emailed to you in December, we mentioned the Merlin Group and left you with an address that you could pull it up and review the Merlin Group. Did you all do that? Nobody did your assignment. Well, I'd like you to go home and do it because it's important to know who is going to represent us. And it's the Merlin Group right now, and they have a number of years' experience with hurricane recovery. How many of you have been through hurricanes since 1950? How about prior to 1950? How about prior to, okay, I get it. I've been through all those. In fact, Sheila was telling me that the second worst hurricane that came through Florida was back about 1927, Homestead. Is that what you told me?
No, it was the Hurricane of 35 that came through the Keys.
Was it 35?
It was 1935.
Oh, okay, 35, okay. I wasn't there then. My parents were there in 27 when the one went through. Took the roof off the house with my oldest brother, 2 weeks old, just born. Enough of that. Please look into the Merlin Group. They have also been on property the last few days examining the roofs. And there's a reason for examining the roofs. And if you read the article that Wes wrote today, you will know why they're up on those roofs. Because if those roofs got a certain amount of wind, it lifts them. And the engineer is checking that one by one. The last, I think it was there Friday, and again today, and I don't know how long it's going to take him to get all the way through the what we call the village. Next item will be the Small Business Administration. Mike has some slides, though, first he'd like to show you. Mike?
Yep. Can we get the lights?
I got them right over here. Let's see if it works.
We could use which one?
Is that enough?
Here we go. It's a little right when you turn them down.
Turn it down more?
Yeah.
All the way over to the right.
There you go. Thank you. Thanks, Levick.
Okay.
So I have about 8 slides. First 2 are kind of status updates on the roofs. The majority of the slides are around the SBA loan, some of the highlights of the SBA loan, and then I put together some scenarios on potential recoveries from the dispute that we have with our insurance carrier. You'll notice throughout some of these different scenarios when we get into them, I'll spend a little time with the charts on the screen because there's going to be a lot of numbers on there. And I apologize for that, but the idea is to give everybody an understanding of where the numbers are coming from. And unfortunately, there's a lot of unknowns yet. Everybody knows that. I mean, we've been going on for quite some time now, and we're trying to knock these things out, you know, one by one, and sometimes it feels like we're making progress, one step forward, two steps backwards. But it feels like we're making progress. We spent a bunch of time, as Levick mentioned, finding a good legal representation. Merlin Group has a sterile, a very good reputation for doing what we want them to do. I'm new to this area, but I believe they're probably one of the best. And the condos, I believe, are using them also to dispute their insurance claim. Having said that, roof replacements, where are we? About a month ago, some of you might have noticed that we had another set of people on roofs looking at things. It was a very limited observation. The intent was to take 4 or 5 roofs that, according to the adjuster's report, had minimal damage, okay? I know there's been dialogue out there, you know, let's fix the roofs that have minimal damage. So what we are trying to ascertain is, all right, what they called minimum damage was roofs that had observable missing tiles or broken tiles. And the roofs that we selected had less than 10 or 15 tiles. The individual that went on the roof had the instructions. He was a roofer. The instructions were, hey, listen, we want you to go up on the roofs, give us an independent appraisal of what these roofs damages are. And by the way, you are not going to get any business from us. And we're going to pay you for your professional opinion or judgment. So that was kind of the rules going into this thing. Again, we wanted to have an independent appraisal of what we're seeing, because as a lot of you alluded to, you know, salespeople are trying to sell you a roof, right? We get that. So we were trying to avoid that connotation. So what the individual came back to us said, hey, listen, there's a lot more damage on these roofs that were indicated in the adjuster's report. Not only are there broken and missing tiles, but a lot of these tiles have been misplaced. You could tell they're lifted up by the way you can still move them. You could see they're you know, the lines are out of sync. So in our mind, this was kind of a reaffirmation that there's roofs out there, while they appear to be pretty good shape, we don't know for sure, right? But this was just another piece of information that we were trying to assimilate and get to a good decision. Having said that, like I said, that was about a month ago. We've since hired Merlin. They brought to us a very good structural engineer. And this individual, again, he's got a website out there. He's licensed in many states. He speaks at many conferences. He's one of the recognized experts on this topic. So I think we have a good individual here. He's going to be, as Levick alluded to, he's going to be examining all 34 roofs. He's going to be putting together a report that will, a verbal report that will first go back to Merlin, our legal representation, and then he'll put together a written report. And I would imagine when we get it, you know, we'll share it with everybody. As part of his examination, he's also going to bring along an expert loss estimator. And how I view that is similar to what the insurance company did when they issued their report, right? They had an engineer, they had Sedgwick was the adjuster who put together all the financials. We're doing basically the same thing. I think as we talked with our adjuster earlier, you know, we weren't feeling confident that we had the ammunition to go against the insurance company. And as I think about this is, okay, you have this giant insurance company, just like every organization, there's approval processes and things go up the ladder, right? Everybody who's worked at a company knows how that works. The low guy maybe can spend $500, you know, the manager can spend $1,000, the director can spend $5 grand or whatever. The insurance company is no different, right? And you know, if you have a single house and you need your roof replaced, okay, that adjuster, he's gonna, you know, make a decision pretty quickly. Our claim is pretty significant, right? So we're talking about a couple $1 million. So it's gonna go up the ladder in the insurance company. So our belief is that they have their experts, we have our experts, go at it. Okay, so that's kind of the philosophy of what we're doing here. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So when the engineer and the loss estimator are done, they're going to go back to Lauren, our legal representation, and present their findings. And Lauren will say to us, hey, listen, the damage isn't significant. This isn't a case that we want to represent you with. It's not big enough, or we don't think there's something there. We don't think that's going to be the case. When the first independent roofer was here looking at the minimal damage roofs, Steve, the structural engineer, was on some of the roofs also. And his initial reaction was, after seeing the roof that has been approved for replacement already by the insurance company, he said the roofs that he looked at have no less damage than that roof. So his position is, hey, if they can approve that roof, then there's got to be many more roofs that warrant replacement. That was just his initial reaction. Okay. So we have not signed any contracts for the 34 roofs yet. We signed one contract for the roof that we got reimbursement for. We will be receiving quotes for roofs from multiple different roofing companies. And you know, hopefully, if we end up getting insurance proceeds for 34 roofs, or we decide that we want to replace 34 roofs, you know, we're hoping that we'll get some kind of volume discount maybe. We're not sure yet. We haven't got to that point. You know, we were busy trying to get this legal team put together and renegotiating. We're negotiating our landscaping contracts before the end of the year because our contract expired at the end of this year, end of 23. Timing, I don't know. I mean, everybody knows there was a problem getting tiles before. I don't know what the circumstances are. I think as we get quotes, you know, we'll have a better understanding of what the lead times are. Certainly we want to be in a position before next year's hurricane season starts. But, you know, our expectation is that all roofs require a replacement. But we'll see. I mean, when our structural engineer is done, we'll know. I mean, this is what we're going to go to bat with against the insurance company.
Mike, just mention the attics. You might go in the homes.
Yeah, so some of you might be aware of this, but he might be asking to go into attics. I know we had some concerns early on about the insulation being misplaced or disrupted. So he's going to go in and look at that, and from what I understand, by looking at some of the inside of the plywood, you might be able to see some disruption of the screws or nails that are up there, which might help him build his case going against the insurance company.
So Mike, he did not ask to go in our app.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. How many roofs has he been on that you know?
It's on mine today.
All right, so he's got a handful already. So it's good.
And I just had a leak. They just fixed my leak.
You had what?
I just had my first leak,
Okay.
and I've never had a leak before.
So that's the issue, right? You don't know what you don't know on the surface.
So will he be going in the attic?
Another guy will.
We'll keep you posted, like, we'll let you know when we hear.
Mike,
Yeah.
the other thing they should look for is staining of the plywood, the sheeting underneath, because if you've got a leak, it will discolor the sheeting, the bottom side of the sheeting.
Yep.
And that's the pictures that they took of my house, was the plywood where it's all been water damaged. So Ram should have all that, picture-wise.
Ram has that. I've seen pictures of that.
Okay.
They are documenting that.
That'll basically tell you where the leak is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks. I also have pictures, and maybe I'll circulate them, of some of the repairs that have been done to some of these roofs already. In my opinion, that they've done a terrible job trying to fix the leaks of some of the roofs by just putting caulking down on top of some of the tiles and so forth.
We weren't told when they were visiting our place, are they gonna return or what?
Yes,
Okay,
we'll try to make provisions. Every roof will be examined,
okay.
every roof. Okay?
Does that include the attic too? Is that
Yes.
what you're?
We believe so, but I think it probably depends on what he finds, I would guess. Okay? So then, there's been lots of questions about the SBA loan that we've all been talking about for a number of months. So we have documentation from them. It's a series of probably 25 pages of different documents that need to be filled out and requirements for the loan. Originally, they were requesting that we get the documents signed and returned to them by January 17th, which is, just a week or so from now. Hence, that was one of the reasons that we wanted to have this meeting now. We'd like to get some thought and some discussion around this before it's due. Now, there's always the potential to push it back if we need to. The point here is there is a time frame involved. There was a question that was posed, why do we need to do this now? Why can't we wait until the structural engineer is finished? Well, we applied for this loan quite some time ago, and there's an expiration date, right? It's the government. They want to keep things moving, so we want to keep things moving. So that's the sense of urgency, I guess, around getting this approved and moving it forward. Now, we can't, we're not going to get a check for $1.8 million from the SBA and from the government. That's not how it works. Information is going to have to be submitted to them. They call it a construction plan. It can be as simple as estimates or something like a quote, right? To get this whole process started. The disbursements can be made in increments. If we think up front that we only need $900,000, we can get $900,000. If we need $200,000, we can do that. There are some requirements. The proceeds must be used to rehabilitate identified properties. All 34 buildings are in the loan documents. Every one of our properties is listed in there. There was an initial estimate of how much money was going to be required for each.
$1,000, right? The cost of the roof that we're replacing is $65,000. So in that particular case, the deductible did not come into play. We had enough funds to cover the roof completely. Now, having said that, if you look at the second column on the left-hand chart shows the results of the other 34 buildings. And obviously they didn't want to replace any more roofs. They had repairs of $136,000 They had tarping in there for $139,000, which is a whole nother discussion that we won't get into right now. And then the total of $276,000 was wiped out by the deductible. So under the pro forma results or proceeds, I just took a theoretical, okay, what happens if they hold those numbers true again? We get $91,000 to replace the roof. There's a factor for repairs. There's a factor for tarping. Comes up to $99,000 roughly. Deductible of $27,000. Voila, we get $72,000. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how the insurance company is going to work going forward, but that's how it could look. Okay. So, getting into some of the numbers of theoreticals here, if we look at the top line, basically, with the number of buildings, of a couple $100,000, right, in that particular case. Yeah.
Excuse me, Mike, what is that per house, per door? Those couple of $100,000 shortfall?
So, moving to the next slide, I can answer that question. So again, the second slide is how do we cover the shortfall? Again, the top line is 5 buildings. 2.1 is the shortfall. If we had to cover that, it would cost every unit $29,000 one-time payment. The $1.8 million would result in $1,167 per year assessment to repay the loan, plus a one-time cost of $3,214 per door. Okay? So that's under the scenario. We only get 5 more roofs replaced. Full amount of the loan is used. Each door owes $3,214. Does that answer your question?
Yes, say that again.
So the shortfall is $2.1 million. Everybody see that number on the screen? I'm rounding up.
That's what.
We showed before on the previous slide, we need $2.2 million to replace all 34 roofs. The difference between the shortfall of $2.1 million and 1.830 is $300,000 or so, whatever the number is. Divide that $300,000, I don't have a calculator with me, but the amount per door is $3,214. So what that means is, besides having the full loan amount of $1.8 million, everybody, every resident, every 70 residents would have to come up with $3,000. Okay? That's not a scenario we're hoping for, right? And that's to replace all the roofs.
Would the government not give us any more money? Would
Uh,
that be line?
There is, I believe, a 10% buffer. So there's a little bit more there, not $2.2 million.
And that's with replacing 34.
Yes.
Yep. buildings is if they replace 17 more, the shortfall is no longer $2.1 million, it's $1.4 million. Okay, you can see the expenses. The legal expenses go up, the expert cost stays the same, because it's basically one time. The cash that we receive is $800,000. We're short $1.4 million to get the $2.2 million. Everybody see that line? That's right here. This is the shortfall. Next scenario, 25 roofs. I just randomly selected 25 roofs. You can see what the shortfall is. Here's 34 roofs. If we get all 34 roofs replaced or covered by the insurance company, we have a shortfall of $431,000.
That is assuming that the insurance company pays what, $90,000 for this.
Well, that's what they used as their calculation to figure out how much they were going to reimburse us. I don't know if they're going to use that number again. I don't know where they got that number.
They just gave us that figure to shut us up. The insurance company. They'll give you 900, shut up.
Could be.
That's what they did.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know where this is going to end up. I'm just throwing some numbers up there so we can, have some sense of what it is. And then the last line on the chart is, okay, originally I was using $70,000. What happens if we only get $65,000 per roof instead of the 70? And obviously we have a shortfall of another $137,000 there. So if I continue with this slide, this, to the question, how does this apply to everybody? So in the case of, if we get reimbursed for 17 roofs, the shortfall, as I mentioned, was $1.4 million. That equates to a one-time cost for everybody of $19,750 if you decide to do that. Nobody would do that. What it means for us, though, instead of $1,167 annual amount, the special assessment per year goes down to $884. Okay. Obviously, the more money we get from the insurance company, the less money that we have to have as a special assessment. If we get 34 buildings, the additional 34 buildings replaced at $70,000 cash to us, we would still have a annual assessment of $275. Best case.
Yeah, that is the best case.
Best case.
Each door per year.
Each door per year. Correct.
What's the deductible?
No, that's covered. Deductible's covered. Okay?
And how long is that assessment for?
30 years.
Forever.
We're not gonna be wrong.
So the assessment stays there for 30 years. So obviously, if you sell your property, the next owner takes over. It's just another assessment. It's just another assessment like we have. Yes, sir.
So Mike, let me just say, first of all, I think you're doing a great job delivering not pleasant news, and you're not getting paid for it, so I commend you for that. But just so I understand what you're saying here, pick a number off the chart because nobody knows where it's going to land. But let's just say the assessment's $100 a month for 30 years. So that's basically $30,000 plus interest. The payback's about $35,000. So just so everybody understands, you're immediately taking a $35,000 hit on your property. Because when you sell it, if I'm a buyer, you're going to have to disclose that liability.
Sure.
And if I were buying a home with that liability, I'd just cut it right off the top of the price. I'm not saying you did anything or you could do anything about it. But that's something to keep in the back of your mind, that the property values are going to decrease.
Could you stand up?
Yeah,
maybe?
I can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Okay, so, basically, let me just start off with Mike's doing a great job, right? Because nobody wants to be in his chair. Am I presenting now?
Please. There you go. There you go.
So I just wanted to note that.
It's on, I just have to do it.
Is it on? So you didn't want to hear that, right? So, whatever number you pick out of there, just so everybody understands, you're taking a hit on your property value, right? It's not his fault. It's not the weather's fault. It's not the SBA's fault. But nobody's going to buy your property knowing that they have a $35,000 liability going forward. So you either pay it now, which I'm not suggesting you do, because if you're gonna ask me to vote, I'm gonna vote for 30 years. I'm not gonna cut a check for 30 grand. But you're still losing 30 grand, right? Whether you do it now or later, because it cuts the value of the property. So, I don't know what point that was.
No, it's a valid point, but
Just, there's nothing to do about it.
if the roofs need to be replaced,
I hear
that's a
you.
big if. I mean, that's yet to be determined by
Okay.
the engineer. I'm not sure what the alternative is.
I didn't say there was.
No, I'm just throwing that out there.
No, you make a
I
good point.
appreciate your comment, I'm just throwing it out.
I'm just saying that's the dilemma we find ourselves in. It's not an easy answer anyway, but
Yeah.
don't think you're getting away from it cheaper by going $97 a month. No. Right? Thanks.
No, it's a lot of money. Yes, sir.
And another item in the consideration, all of the underlayment products that I could find on the internet run out at about 20 years. The underlayment runs out at about 20 years on the guarantee. And would we not be wise to, although it'll cost us more, to think about making that loan paid back over 20, because we don't want to have to put a new roof on it 20 years and still owe 10 more years on the loan.
Hold on. We got 8 years out of the Taylor Morrison roof. The next roofer who comes in, they're going to say that we have a 30-year guarantee. Guess what? The next storm's going to come through in 5 or 8 years. We're back down to ground zero with that loan.
Yes.
Okay? Do you understand that? We're not going to stay out of hurricanes.
We hadn't had a hurricane for 40 years when I moved here. Now we've had 5 in the time I've been here. But we may not have another one for 40 years. They don't really run on a clock.
Okay, just 2 more slides. Same format as the previous 2 slides. In this particular case, obviously the first scenario had legal expenses at 20%. These next 2 slides have legal expenses at 33%. And obviously, you know, for the same couple of scenarios that I indicated here, it takes it will take more money out of our pocket, or we'll have to loan more money, even if we get the same 34 roofs replacement. I'll just jump back and forth here. As I said before, at 20% for 34 roofs, it's $275. If we have to go to a lawsuit type of scenario, instead of that amount of money, it's actually $487 annually. Best case, if we have to go to a lawsuit and pay the legal folks 33%. Okay?
Merlin's only had 1 lawsuit.
One.
So far.
Nobody wants to go to trial.
No.
Insurance company doesn't want to go to trial. We don't want to go to trial. But it's out there. Just want everybody to know that's the range.
So if you're saying the insurance company, wait, so if we get money from the government, and then we still have a shortfall, and if we do go to a lawsuit, why can't we say we need this money for the shortfall inside that suit?
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, the whole shortfall is based on what we get from the insurance company.
Right.
Yeah. That's why we're kind of in limbo here, and that's kind of why we're just, you know, we're trying to be ahead of the ball here a little bit and not knowing what insurance proceeds that we might get. In any case, there is not enough money to be had from the insurance company to pay for all roofs. There is no scenario, unless there's some fraud someplace, and besides the payouts that we've had so far, there would be some additional penalty amounts. That's the only way.
So you haven't made the decision if Graham's gonna do all of our roofs?
Oh, we have not made that decision.
Okay, so on that note, with the tile, have we already made the decision on that tile? And the reason why I'm asking is, if we can get more time out of a metal roof, why do
Because you all complained
no, I
and
know.
yelled and
Yeah,
screamed.
that you didn't want two different roofs. And
That's
the
right.
question given to me, which was a reasonable question by Dan, was we've got to pick a roof for this house that they're doing. So I said, okay, but you can't, everybody wants the same roof. See, well, at that point, nobody was complaining that much. But you can't put a tile roof on that house or a metal roof on that house. And then people are screaming every roof has to be the same. And then that's the one house that's different.
No,
We
that's not,
decided to replace all the roofs.
all the roofs.
Why don't we just all
Go with metal.
with metal?
Because this roof is tile.
Yeah.
But we asked them if they can do a,
They didn't deliver it yet, it's still on.
Does anyone believe that if we get another Cat 5 hurricane through here, that a metal roof is gonna hold up better than tile?
Yes.
Yeah, the engineer is saying, from Sandoval, yes.
Proven that a metal roof will last.
Yes.
Same screws, it's the same screws, it's gonna rip off.
No.
all the same screws.
It's not done by
Yeah.
But weren't you here for the meeting when they had the engineer?
Yeah, it was.
They're shingles, they're not standard strips.
You're gonna rip off sheets.
We were looking at, last I saw, we were looking at shingles that were accumulating a tile, a roof.
Right, I think they're talking about a different kind of.
If you're looking at if you're looking at standing seam, then we'll rip them all
It's
off.
gonna rip it right
Most
off.
of those survive, that's the most survival of all the designs.
So we would be looking at
When you had your engineers look at the.
Hang on a second, please.
Mike,
Yeah, I'm sorry to monopolize the mic here, but
That's
when
fine.
the engineers came out and you said, some of them said the roofs actually lifted off and some of them didn't. Has anybody looked at Taylor Morrison, the builder? Because, I mean, I had an issue with Ruttenberg House where they didn't secure the tiles properly, and we went back and got money from Ruttenberg. I don't know if that's something they looked at, or were they installed properly to begin with? It's hard to say, it's a Cat 5 hurricane, but still.
Yeah, I'm not sure we want to talk about that right now.
legal thing, Taylor Morrison's here? You should.
Ben, what's on your mind?
I have had
For you people that don't know, my name is Ben Petrolia, and I'm the retired building official from the city of Cape Coral. And before I was the building official in Cape Coral, I was the building official for all of Charlotte County. And I want to tell you, I've been here since 1986. We've been through about 3 or 4 hurricanes. Charlie was the last worst one that we had that impacted Cape Coral. I, at that time, was in charge of organizing the first responders to come out. And the first thing we did was an impact assessment. All the inspectors would go out. We were assigned to certain areas. I had them all assigned to certain areas. And they would go out and they would report back to me what areas were impacted. I would categorize, this one is maybe number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. All right? Then the next day we would go out and do a damage assessment. Now, what is the damage? That's when the inspectors would go out, put red tags on a house, or, put a warning on the house that this is unlivable, this has to be fixed, this has to be repaired, whatever the thing was. Now, going back to the roofs, there's indications all over. I helped write the Florida Building Code, the first Florida Building Code, when it went from the SBCCI, the Southern Building Code Congress, into the Florida Building Code. I helped write it. I want to tell you, these houses today are built like a bank vault, okay? You'll notice very little damage that we had on anything other than the roofs. And they are the most thing because of the wind coming up. Tile roofs are gonna blow off more shingle roofs because the wind has got a lot of things to get under. I'll tell you right now, from all my experience in the world, and I've been licensed in all of these categories, the metal roof is the best roof you can put on a house. Yes, you may get a peel, okay? But then if you do get a peel, all you have to do is maybe replace that one panel. It isn't like you have to replace the whole roof, okay? So if you get a peel back here, go ahead.
I thought the law was if you have 25% of the roof, then you need a whole new roof. That's Cape Coral's.
Well, let me tell you something. You know the two towers down on Cape Coral Parkway? They just repainted them?
Yep.
Right down there by Bimini Basin?
Yep.
Hurricane Charlie, I condemn those two buildings. I condemn them because the repairs were over 50%. I made the national news. I was on the national news with that project. Okay? I had people pointing their finger at me and Councilwoman Gloria Tate. We really took a hit, the two of us did, over those two buildings. There were people in those two buildings that never got to move back in. First of all, one of their other problems was that building wasn't sprinkled. And of course, anything with 3 floors or more has to be sprinkled. So we now said we have to sprinkle the buildings. That made the cost go up over 50% of what the buildings were worth at that time. Those people all had an opportunity to sell to a developer called BK out of Chicago. He wanted to buy those units, and of course, they all got together and said, no, they didn't want to buy. So, but the issue with the roof, let me tell you right now, the best roof you could put on a house is metal, by far, no argument.
Okay, so we chose a metal roof.
Yes, yes.
That's correct?
We did, yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Lynn, correct?
Yes.
And then people started screaming, Mike, you were one of them, I want tile, I want tile. I moved in here because my roof was tile. So now do you still want tile?
Sure.
Well, but maybe.
Hey, I'm just one resident. If we, at some point we want to vote.
Well,
did. No, we didn't.
No.
We never voted.
We never voted.
I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be maybe a restocking fee to take those towels back, but, maybe.
If the residents decide to have metal roofs, I'll abide by whatever the residents come with. I mean,
They don't have the tile anymore.
If you think these numbers are staggering, if you're gonna go to the metal roof, they're still gonna stagger.
The metal roofs were cheaper.
No.
Yes, they were. Weren't they cheaper?
They were back then.
When we first looked at metal versus tile roofs at the time after the hurricane, metal roofs were cheaper and more attainable because tiles were out of the question because they're over a year out. But the time this got far enough along where we actually had settlement on the table, then things have reversed. Tile roofs were now $7,000 to $8,000 less expensive than the tile.
But Dan, was that with RAM only, or?
No, that was across the board.
Okay.
So the 3 quotes we had in for metal roofs came in at between 68 and 70,000. And the roofs that we got in for the bids we got in, 61 and 63.
Come on. Y'all think?
That's old, folks.
We have a question. Is the floor open?
Levy, the floor open? Are we still?
The floor is open, absolutely. One of the things, though, that I'd like to say is that, as I recall, we had a joint meeting here, and we voted on either tile or metal.
No.
That was with one house in here.
That was only with one house first.
It's not gonna be, you're gonna say, we're gonna go back and look at the minutes, and we're not gonna find that? John, Art, you're here. Did we have that vote on the floor? John? Okay, yeah, there was no ballot, but it was a show of hands, and it was.
So you missed all the people who weren't here.
Majority of the
So
people.
we're gonna vote on your SBA loans according to the people that are in the room.
No, we have provisions for everybody to vote. We believe that this is such a decision that everybody needs to vote. In my opinion, tile versus metal is the same type of scenario. I believe, my personal opinion is that everybody, every resident should vote on this because it's some material.
Absolutely.
We are prepared tonight. You will get a ballot, every one of you. Debbie has also made arrangements to email everybody that's not here with a ballot. Not a ballot there, but with a
Yeah, it's electronic voting.
electronic opportunity for them to vote.
But
Is it
tonight's
the
vote,
electronic voting that we use to vote here for?
well, we have ballots here.
Don't say
right
the
now.
same one as the big HOA. It's not that. there is another way of doing it that
Well, it's the only
allows
way-
all
it's the only
70
way
of
I
us
could
to
come up
vote.
with. We have ballots here today for you to fill out and vote, and you can drop your ballot in the box, and it's for the SBA loan only. Anyone not here or out of town, I will send an email with a link, and they can electronically vote, and it will tabulate. It'll be one day the voting will be open, which will be the end of the day tomorrow.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes.
So all the scenarios that we've done up here today are all with the assumption that we're gonna replace all roofs or a portion of the roofs. So have we done any scenarios whether we're gonna replace only what's needed and then repair what else is needed? Have we done any scenarios like that? And everything I've seen up here has all been based on replace, replace, replace. Have we done anything like that? If we did, are there shortfalls with that?
So I'm not an engineer. I think, for me, the next milestone is to get the engineer's report to see exactly what he believes. And then, I'm not sure what the alternatives are.
So we don't know necessarily, we're speculating based on replacing all the roofs. And it sounds to me like
Correct.
maybe the insinuation is if we did replace 34 roofs compared to 5 roofs, it would cost us per door less money. So it would behoove us if we were to, is that what the assumption is? If we were to replace 5, it would cost us more money rather than replace 34. Is that correct? So that's the assumption.
Well, yeah, assuming that we get insurance proceeds, yeah.
Right, that's, I just
This is
want to be clear,
replacing all
that's
roofs.
what the-
Again, I think once the structural engineer is done with his report, I think my recommendation would be to bring him in here and explain the difficulties in repairing roofs.
So we'll leave that for another day, another topic, right?
I think so.
So my last question is, just to be clear, if we did approve this SBA loan, we don't have to use a penny of it.
That's
Zero.
correct.
There's
That's
no
correct.
penalty.
That's
And
correct.
we can put that money back at any time.
We will not even ask for a disbursement.
And it can only be used for roof repair replacement.
That's correct.
Thank you.
So I have a question if I can vote it.
Yeah.
So what's the big rush to get people one day to vote? Because we're sitting here watching all this stuff, but, you know, Joe Schmo, who's in wherever he is, may need time to educate himself.
We can give you more days.
We're providing, we can provide more time. We're providing a link of the recording
Well,
tonight.
you said they one day.
Well, that's what I decided, but we could change our mind.
I'm sorry, I was in the chip.
I can't see her.
Yeah, you're sitting in front of me. You're too tall still.
I mean, I just came back from Europe. What if I was in Europe and
Yeah,
didn't
we
get
could
your
give more
email, so I
time.
don't vote?
We're fine with more time.
We can give more time. But we also
It's
have a
important.
deadline of January
I
17th,
understand
so.
that, but I think to say there's one day.
We
We're gonna get
can-
an email and there's one day, and they may say, what the hell happened? We don't
Yeah,
even
if
know.
one day is not adequate, we'll add more days. What does everyone think? How many days do you think we need?
Time out, time out. In addition to getting what you're sending them, is you're going to get a copy of the meeting tonight. That you are recording the meeting, and we will be able to get it on our internet when we get home after you put it on there, correct?
Correct.
And we can go home and look at it tonight.
Correct.
As well as those that are home
Yes.
that receive your email, Debbie,
Yes.
correct?
Well, my neighbor
So
is
you're all part of, they'll all be part of the meeting.
one day it goes for her.
Then one person is not gonna make that big a difference.
We are looking
When the
for a
majority
majority.
rules.
Excuse me, I have the microphone.
I have the microphone.
What is the thinking that the roofs have to be matchy-matchy?
Rick, are
You know,
there
if you
with a
drive down
microphone
any of
for
the
reason?
streets.
Yeah, I.
Hang on a second. Go ahead.
Because we haven't come back here with the speak.
Wait.
I wanted to know what the thinking is, that the roofs in the villas all have to be matchy-matchy. If you drive down any of the streets in Sandoval, you will see a metal roof, you will see a tile roof.
And it's insidious.
Why does it have to be that way?
Because that's what we came in at. Well, also, I went before the Master Architectural Committee about this. Dan asked me to go talk to them and see what their thought was on the roofs being, and they, no, Dan?
No, I'm listening.
Oh, didn't I go to them about?
You went, I don't know what you found out. I don't know what the ruling
Whatever. And their feeling was, and it's in even their paperwork, if you look when they redid the stuff about the color roofs for each section, yada, 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 and that the condos and villas should have, not that we should have the same roofs as them, but the villas should all be similar, the same, and so should the condos.
Should or shall?
Should.
Yeah, see, it might not be something that can't be gotten around.
Of course, and you can get around anything.
So then it's a guideline by the master district.
But then
It's not
do
in the
you,
document.
but then do you duke it out with your attached neighbor? If
See, that's.
that neighbor wants tile and you
Yeah,
want
metal.
metal, then what do you do? Of some sort.
When you switch from Dean to this new law group,
I believe it is. I think it's.
when
in
you
our
had your
bylaws.
meeting, how did you feel with them? Did you get an idea that they were thinking our roofs were as bad as they are?
Yes,
Worse than what Dean thought?
yes. Well, I don't want to speak for Dean, I don't know what he was thinking about anything. But
Well,
he,
I know, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, he didn't, we,
Well, we're gonna have to pay him too, that's right.
no, we're not, no, we're not. We got advice on that also. But we never got any documentation from Dean
I know.
about what his strategy was, how he was gonna rebut the insurance company's experts. We got nothing from him. And we were getting nowhere, he was missing deadlines. We believe we had no alternative but to terminate him and get somebody different. Keep this thing moving.
And he was recommended by the HOA attorney?
Yes.
Right?
It was getting a 10%.
Yeah.
Who we
It's like they all
like
knew
to
each
know
other.
when that HOA attorney is
Sure.
replaced. But I talked to Gil about roofs, tile, metal, da-da-da-da. And Gil and I had a long talk about, why not just patch some of these, and why not? And Gil said to me, you may think your roof is not down, but you don't actually know that. So you see 6 loose tiles on your roof. That doesn't mean your roof is okay, because we had such huge winds, and you don't know what happened underneath there. And you may not know for a while yet.
Gail, we had drones up in the air looking at every single roof, and we also had people in my house with water leak detectors.
Not my
Okay.
house.
Well, that's what they did in mine. Okay, is it my turn yet?
Okay.
I've been saying.
No, wait, it's a state.
I have one quick question. No, it's a statement. Am I correct?
In the back.
Am I correct? Does SBA sound more like a line of credit than a loan?
Until you have to pay it.
Right.
There's more flexibility there than we originally thought. And they will recalculate the loan payment amortization schedule based on what we end up loaning from them. And we just can't be, writing checks, blah, 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 $1,000 at a time out of this thing. But major changes can be coming.
And who's gonna?
For
manage-
1 year, it could be considered a line of credit. As long as you don't draw it, you don't pay any cost. When you start to draw it, then we'll have cost. So at the end of 1 year, whatever the balance is, we start amortizing. Vinny has been waiting.
I'm sorry, repeat that last thing. Say it again. I didn't hear what you said. After 1 year?
After 1 year, we are to amortize it.
After 1 year, we start paying on the full amount.
One year after, 1 year after the funds are dispersed, we need to start paying it back.
When you say the full amount, 1.83 is the full amount. If you don't draw that, no, you don't pay that payment to amortize that balance. It's only the
So
existing
after 1 year, we
balance.
either decide we're using it or we're not.
You're,
But that's what I mean by using, either we're using some of it or we're not. I get 1 year this side.
maybe you had something you wanted to say.
Why don't we wait until we get a engineer report before we decide what type of roofs we're gonna put on? Because you can't vote for it now.
No, we're not voting now.
We don't have a choice, if by the 17th, we can't get it at all.
Thank you.
You can sign up for it, you just don't have to take it. Okay?
I just think you need to be very careful about assessing some of us out of here.
If that's what's gonna happen, and that's what I'm going to get you down.
Because some of us do not have deep pockets, and some of us
Hold on.
do not have ways to pay all these assessments. So I think it's very easy for somebody who maybe has deeper pockets than the next person to say, oh yeah, so big deal, over X number of years you're paying something. Some people can't pay that. So, and it's gonna be very hard to sell your house.
And
Very hard.
And on her point, then our HOAs are higher.
Well, that's.
So now you get that higher.
Okay, now it's my turn, please. I've lived here a little over 3.5 years. In the 3.5 years, I've had 3 repairs done to my roof. That's having a roofer going up there and re-gluing tiles back there. Kathy has had 2 repairs done to her, at least 2. That's 5 repairs on ours. Okay, so I'm gonna stick with myself and Kathy. 0 leaks in our house, 0 shingles, 0 tiles lifted up with glue after a Category 5 hurricane. Okay?
But do we know if anything's loose?
You know, well, they were up in my roof with the leak detector. I can tell you that much.
But look at me, I'm in here 5 years, 6 years, and I just had my first leak. So there was supposedly nothing wrong with my roof?
Maybe that wasn't from the hurricane, maybe that was from something else. Who knows? But hold on, please. We all know by now, it's not a tile that keeps you dry. It's the underlay.
But we don't know what our underlay.
Okay, that's fine, I'll go with that. Just today, before I came here, I went on Zillow. The value of my house is $388,300 from Zillow. Put a $50,000 roof on it, now I'm up to $438,000.
No, wrong.
No.
Okay, what is 50,000 plus 388? That's 438.
That's not the value.
Well,
Doesn't increase the value of your home. It makes
okay,
it more marketable.
I will never, ever be able to get $438,000. I have to pay the $50,000 loan.
But people did get over
And that's
Okay. The point is, we already went through one roof in 8 years. We're going to go through another one in 8 years, most likely in another one. Let's not take out a 30-year loan, okay? I can tell you my roof did not leak. Kathy's did not leak with glue. Now, hold on, if we do it, if we go ahead and do this, what is our HOAs going to increase it from? $1,700 a quarter, I think? $1,700 a quarter? You're not going to be able to sell the house. Now, let me just go with one thing further. When we bought the house 3.5 years ago, the insurance that we have over at Cypress, they signed us up for everything. I mean, I have roof coverage because we didn't know that we had roof coverage. We didn't know that we had all this. My yearly insurance is $2,046. That includes the roof, that includes all shrubbery, that includes everything. So that's $2,000 a year. Now, if you got it, you're looking at how many years is it going to take me to pay that $2,000 a year versus a $44,000 assessment
Why
on
are
it.
you insuring yourself for a roof?
Because I didn't know, and guess what? I'm glad, because guess what, this
should have
sucks.
told you that.
Well,
did.
you know, my insurance agent.
He didn't, but this is what we have. And I'm telling everybody that you could get full boat insurance for $2,000 a year without a $50,000 assessment.
That doesn't help us today because we bought into a community that was set up the way it is.
Okay, so you do what with the prior board. We glued them back in, and mine's working, mine stays. If you glue it, it's going to stay.
Rick, can I say something about that? When we moved in here, don't ask me how, we were insured as a single-family home and not as a condo. And I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that until like last year before the hurricane. So my insurance was UPC, and you know what happened to that. So I got buckus for the hurricane, for my screens, my whatever. But that slide insurance is what took over for UPC. Do you know what my premium would be with slide? As a single family home, $3,700.
How many years would it take that $3,700 to balance out to the $44,000 that you're going to need for a new roof?
I take condo insurance, it's like
Let's give.
$600.
So hang on a second, we got two things going here. Hey, Rick, I would suggest that if we want to pursue this insurance scenario where we get out of the HOA paying for insurance, I think we set up a committee to investigate if that's possible. To do what.
I mean, unfortunately, if you look at it, when we all moved in here, the people that are almost originals, you know, I kept telling the board, you have to up our monthlies. And we are now in the reason why the problem we're in.
We
Because our
have
monthlies
zero in our reserves for roofs.
Because we did not put any money in the reserves.
It's not there where we didn't pay it.
Because we didn't
We're not willing to
pay
pay
it.
it now.
That's why we're in the position we're in.
Okay.
But it is,
My final thoughts, and then I'll leave you people alone. My house right now, without the loan, is value of $388,000. If anyone would like to purchase it right now for that price, I will go over and above that, and I'll pay 25% in the new roof.
Thank you, Rick.
I'll give you $340 for it right now.
the houses are gonna go back up.
Well, that's absurd, Rick, because the market's down right now, but the market's gonna pop back
I
up.
bought my house for $270-something, it's up to $388.
The market, but some of us put a lot of money into our houses, like me. So, my house is worth more than
So where's Levitt? All right, Levitt, where are we at here?
Folks, it's only 5:19 and we've got the home till 6. You want to continue this bickering?
No, we're not
I didn't think so.
We're not bickering.
Well, you want to, you're saying the same damn thing over and over. It's time to get over it.
It means they get overtime.
That, as our president, is your opinion. But we want to make sure we know what we're voting for.
And
we
we've
need to
done
talk
everything
about it,
we've
we
done
need
to help
talk
you.
about it. And that's the way it's going to be, because the majority of people here want to talk about it. Stop and make sure they're making a wise decision.
And we've been all ears and you're not responding to what we're saying.
No, because I'm listening to Mike and I'm listening to her, and he's talking very well. I don't watch Mike, but I think as homeowners, we paid a lot of money for our places. We should have the right to talk about it.
And we were sold a bill of goods when we moved in. Oh, yes. Yes.
Money fix, well,
Those who were watching.
We have a question?
We have till the 17th to answer.
This board didn't sell you no goods.
Is that a deadline or what?
Well, it's not a hard deadline, but that's what's on the loan documentation right now. It's the 17th.
You have 25 pages to fill out. Yeah.
We've started already.
Oh, did you? So we got till the 17th.
Let's have the next question, that's, please.
Yes, this is about the lawyer. I did look up Berlin. I did not see in all the bullets where this firm is an HOA firm. Is this Lauren, our lawyer as well?
No.
For the HOA I'm
No,
talking
she's
about. I'm not talking about. for
You're asking for Merlin showing that they have some expertise in HOA?
Right, and I did not see it when I read through, because I didn't click.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know if there's a clip that shows that they're expert on HOA. What they're an expert on is hurricane
Right.
recovery
That's right. So
for HOAs, condominiums.
So, are they represent, is she representing our board?
She's representing the board of Villas One HOA, Anguilla, Pamlico, Sandoval Neighborhood Association.
No, that's not what she's asking, that's not what she's asking.
But that's the whole.
What is the question? What is the question? I'm not sure.
Do we have two lawyers?
Yes.
Yes.
We currently have 2 lawyers.
One is on retainer when we need him.
That's the guy that we had.
Cooper.
That's the one we need.
We
Yeah.
still Cooper.
Robert
Right.
Cooper's on retainer.
They each have their, one represents the corporation, and the other is employed for the hurricane recovery.
As any other contract that we have, we're always looking to make sure have the best representation.
Well, we talked with that
So
guy.
my question is, if this attorney was the one who recommended Dean,
Yeah.
isn't he now a conflict of interest as an attorney,
Yes.
HOA attorney, because now we're getting another type of attorney for our roofs? So isn't he a conflict of interest?
We haven't given him any additional work since we've changed or talked to the new lawyer.
So are we looking to hire a new HOA attorney?
Attorney?
I don't want to answer that right now.
Okay.
It was a big conflict of
Danny, let me give
interest.
you the mic.
It's what my son told me, and he's a pretty big attorney.
I hear what you're saying.
After I saw the video with the attorney and the adjuster, I have 5 words. Fire the attorney immediately, because he does not represent us. It's with the adjuster. If you guys didn't see that on the video, look at it again. Fire that attorney immediately. Thank you.
That's what we're saying, Vinnie.
Do you have a name? Do you have a name for that attorney?
Dean might know.
Okay.
We should look at the master attorney. He's great.
But that's what I said.
Yeah,
That's what I said.
We will respond to that question outside this meeting.
Yeah.
Looks like we have to sort of define what we can do. We need to decide on taking the loan before the 17th. We don't need to decide on how much ever we're gonna spend, because we don't know what, until the engineer report comes back. Until the engineer report comes back, we haven't really committed anything, and the issue of metal versus tile, if the, comes back to all roofs need to be replaced, then if we haven't already put a tile roof on, we still have the option of going either way.
Correct.
If that's correct, then maybe we should have a vote again on if we go, if we have to do all roofs, should we think about tile versus metal, or is that already a settled?
Yes.
Well, that would be, you can't make a decision until till we're offered what it's gonna cost us.
Right.
But then, that might be something that we should look at. If it's gonna cost twice as much for metal, that might change a lot of minds.
Correct.
But if it's gonna cost something fairly close, and metal is a better roof, as Ben has already told us, although again, I don't like the standing seam, because they look like the barn roofs back in my home. So I would vote
I agree.
against that, even though it may be a better roof, because I want a shingle.
You're correct.
Wes, did I hear you say that it's a different night? Tonight, our duty should be to take care of the SBA loan.
Correct.
And
then you guys can bring us in and decide later.
After we've made some studies about the roofs, and maybe even have the engineers' reports back. We don't know when they're gonna come back. They should be coming back fairly soon. Then we come back at our next board meeting to talk about the roof.
Right.
And I hope you'll come and be part of our study. Because you're a guy that has a lot of experience here. in
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We only want what's best for our community.
We all do.
You guys are doing a great job. I mean, it's a hard job, it's a free job, and we just want what's best for the community.
And for our homes and our homes.
Home value.
So let's focus in on the loan. Is there any more questions about the loan?
No.
Or are you ready to pick up a ballot?
Yay!
And do your duty now for the ballot. Don't get so excited, David. You're gonna buy dinner tonight for everybody. We'll pass out the ballots.
They're right over there, 11.
I'm sorry?
They're on the table there.
They're on the table.
Before everyone leaves, I just wanted to give you an update on the landscaping. Our contract with Crawford was coming due at the end of the year. So we issued an RFP and we received 3 bids, one from Crawford, one from Juniper Landscaping, and Danny Yates Landscaping. So Juniper was the lowest bidder, and we've saved about $4,000 from what we were spending last year. Crawford came in second, and Danny Yates was the highest bidder. So I just wanted you to know, we have no contract at the moment, but we are signing the contract with Juniper this week. We've got their insurance certificate, and they hope to be on site by the end of the week.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
Being on the last
Yeah.
committee?
No, I know, I was talking to Levitt about
When the guy came to my house with Danny Yates, and I asked him about the mulch in the back of my home where my fence was, then he was saying that this has to be okayed by the big board.
No.
Why?
I have no idea. No idea.
Oh, what?
Living, give mine to Verna.
Well,
My
let me
question
understand,
Yeah,
this is
sure.
important. Of course.
On the landscaping, whatever this new company is, has anybody, have you talked with any other development that uses them, and are they satisfied?
Yes, they're actually doing Sandoval as well, the common areas. They're the new company for the common areas here in Sandoval. Spoke with one of their references in, hang on now. Oh, in Naples. They handle 2,000 home community in all the common areas. Excellent reference check. And same with Lennar Communities in Fort Myers. Good reference.
Okay, so you have followed up, because cheapest isn't always the
Oh,
best.
no, I know. I was in procurement for years, yeah.
Thank you.